does Medicare cover dental? What else doesn't Medicare cover? What are some issues with Medicare and the Medicare program that I need to be aware of before I enroll or while I'm an enrollee and beneficiary of Medicare? Stay tuned as I go over all the problems and potentially how you can look out for and be prepared for these problems when it comes to Medicare. I'm going to talk about 5 topics today. Myself, I'm a Medicare insurance specialist. I talk and I help people with the Medicare program and the various supplemental and advantage programs out there. In the video today, what I want to specify and want to kind of hone in on though is the original Medicare program parts A and B, talk about what they do not offer, and then at the very end, I'll go over some, I guess you could call them tips, some solutions in the form of private insurance, or ways that you can kind of get around and save some money on Medicare. All right, so number 1, Medicare A and B, does it cover dental? Well, here are some things that they don't cover. Medicare Parts A and B actually don't cover routine dental. They do cover emergency procedures that take place in a hospital. So what does that mean and how does that benefit me? Well, listed here are the services that Part A and B considers medically necessary dental. Now remember, Medicare only covers what is medically necessary. That's the pretty much overarching guideline of the Medicare program. They cover what is medically necessary. So, number 1, oral exam in hospital before a kidney transplant, oral exam in federally qualified health center before heart valve replacement, any dental needed for radiation treatment of jaw related to diseases like oral cancer, ridge construction when facial tumor is removed, surgery to treat fractures of the jaw, dental splints and wiring needed after jaw surgery. Now, Part B covers all of these services under observation in an emergency room. Observation is very expensive if you don't have a Medicare supplement plan because observation is Part B but is in the hospital. So that's where you're not admitted. Part A, if you're admitted, would be that one-time deductible on Medicare program. Part B is a 20% co-insurance. So be sure to understand how you're being treated and what your status is in the hospital when you're receiving this kind of care. I know it's really hard because, right, how are you going to be asking the physician while your jaw is getting reconstructed because it's destroyed, whether you're under Part A or Part B? But you need to just realize where those problems are in the plan so that you can make good decisions when you're purchasing insurance. And the last note is, while Medicare B does cover for the hospital room services, tests, they will actually not pay for the dentist's fee. So even though these services are covered, the fee-for-service charge, I guess, that the dentist does cost plan will actually be burdened 100% by the beneficiary. And that, of course, is even if you have a Medicare supplement plan, because remember, Medicare supplement plans only pay for what Medicare itself is paying for. They pay that gap, and that's why it's commonly referred to as a Medigap plan. All right, so dental, very little coverage. What about vision? You know, I get my eyes checked every year. Does Medicare cover vision? Same like dental. Routine vision is not covered. What is covered though is glaucoma screening, or your things like cataract surgery. Those things are covered under original Medicare and typically take place in the outpatient setting. So you will be paying that 20% co-insurance. Now, what about glasses? Heck, I even have glasses on too. For glasses, you're gonna have to get something private. Medicare does not cover those things. What about hearing? You know, I don't have any teeth, I can barely see, and I can't hear anything. Does Medicare cover hearing? Nope. Medicare does not cover routine hearing or the natural degradation of your hearing. They will cover things like an ear infection though, or if you have some kind of a problem, like if you had a slice in your ear, they will go ahead and stitch it up for you. But they won't pay if your hearing is going. They won't pay for hearing aids or any service related to the kind of maintenance or upkeeping of your hearing. So just like the other two, dental, vision, and hearing, you will have to pick up something different if you want to get coverage when you're on the Medicare program. I know I said I'm going to talk about Part A and B, but another important thing that Parts A and B don't cover is prescription drugs. Now, Medicare Part B and A do cover drugs while you're in the hospital or while you're under some kind of a clinician's care. Like if you're in an infusion center, that typically is charged to Part B. Anything that you pick up from the pharmacy and take home, though, with some exceptions, will be billed under Part D of Medicare, and that's D as in drug. So Parts A and B don't include drugs. You're going to have to buy that one separately as well, and only from private companies. Medicare, unlike A and B, which are administered by the federal government, do not administer any prescription drug plan, and there could be hundreds, if not thousands, of prescription drug plans available in your area. So look into prescription drug coverage, and they do change every year. Another thing to remember is that just because you picked the drug plan last year doesn't mean that for the following year it's going to be just as good or the same. Medicare drug plans can change the medications that they offer in their formulary every month even, as well as the contracts they have with the pharmacies. So it is important that you check your Part D drug plan to make sure that it's still the best one for you. The Kaiser Family Foundation recently, about 2018, released a survey that said that Medicare Part D beneficiaries, or those that participating in the plan, aren't actually getting the most of their plan, and they could be saving more money if they were to just reanalyze their current drugs and the drug plans available. Another part of that Part D plan that's a big problem is cancer medications. So for cancer medications as well as some hepatitis medications, those that you take home can be very expensive. If there is no Part D equivalent of that medication, it will always be billed under Part D as in dog. And this chart here shows that many of the medications can cost you in the thousands, that's even with full Medicare Part D insurance, per year. So be sure to check and make sure that the plan you're on has the drug that you need and is the cheapest for that drug as well. All right, the third thing is going to be long-term care. I know, I guess because I'm in the industry, it seems to me like a no-brainer that health insurance doesn't pay for long-term care, because long-term care is custodial care. It's non-medical. It's more like helping with various tasks of the home. So in my head, they're completely separate. But I guess I had to learn it. So that's why I think that it's very much obvious. But yes, Medicare doesn't pay for long-term care. Its kind of friend in the industry, Medicaid, does pay for long-term care if you meet certain financial and medical criteria, but Medicare itself doesn't pay for long-term care. They do, though, pay for nursing home for 100 days a year. And you can check my video here about how to get qualified for nursing home care on the Medicare program. But that's not a long-term thing, and it's only meant to be for a little while you are getting better. And that's getting better, not this is how it's going to be and you're using up 100 days in Medicare. It's if you're not getting any better, then they will discharge you and you'll have to tap into either long-term care policy or the Medicaid or family and friends for help. So number 3, long-term care. What does it cover? Well, Medicare only covers skilled care and care to help you recover and get better. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, in the home or at a certified home health care agency, those are authorized by Medicare, but by no means are considered long-term care. You can check the video I made about therapy on the Medicare program and what's allowed here. Medicare also covers medical social services to help beneficiaries adjust. Now, this can be a gray area, so please check with the agencies available in your area to see which ones of them accept Medicare as a payment or as a vendor, because, like I said, gray area, this is kind of like the agencies that help set up to get you situated at home while you're making a transition from either the nursing home or the hospital. And lastly, Medicare will pay for ongoing services to prevent further decline in certain diseases like ALS, Parkinson's, MS, and Alzheimer's. This doesn't mean that it's 100% covered, but what it does mean is that Medicare itself authorizes that coverage, so it will be covered by Medicare based on whatever plan you're in, or if you have a Medicare supplement, your copay depends on that. It's covered, but it's not free. Another thing to realize on the Medicare program, number 4, is that there's no annual maximum. many times, if you're on a group plan, your annual maximum might be like $7,550 for a single person. Or maybe if you're married, upwards of $15,000 for your family. On the original Medicare program for both Part A, B, and D, there is no annual max. So what that means is that there's no safety net where you can only spend $7,550 per year on Parts A and B. In fact, Part B has a deductible, but Part D also has a separate deductible. So they're not together. It's not all bundled in one. So you kind of have to realize and look out for those types of undefined ceilings as far as your medical spending on the original Medicare program. So we've got all these problems. What can we do about it? Well, the first thing you can do, of course, is to purchase what's called a Medicare Supplement Plan or a Medigap policy. Now, these Medigap policies are sold by private insurance companies, and what their rule is or what their mandates are is they will cover everything else that Medicare covers for you, but they take some of that financial burden away from you. What does that mean? Well, if you have a copay of, let's say, 20%, some of these plans will pay for half of that 20% coinsurance or all of that 20% coinsurance. This right here is the chart of all the federally standardized Medigap plans and what they cover. And this is standardized across the US. So if you purchase a supplement plan in one area or one state, the benefits based on the letter will be the same wherever you go and whichever physician you see based on the Medicare acceptance. Now, staying with that program will cost you a little bit more, but it will allow you that freedom and flexibility that the original Medicare program has, and will kind of allow you to sidestep a lot of that medical kind of protocols that most people, or when you're on the group health plan, might have had seen. Things like having a prior authorization before going to get a CAT scan or a CT scan or an MRI. If your disease or your illness requires an MRI, you won't have to go through all those different steps with the insurance company, because as far as the federal government, as long as you meet what's called like a necessary or unnecessary waste parameters, you'll be covered. And there's no person that's going to kind of say, hey, no, that's too expensive. It'll just be a bunch of questions that your physician has to answer whether or not you can get that service. And for most services like referrals, regular checkups, diagnostic tests, there's no kind of questionnaire that your physician has to go through, unlike on the Medicare Part C program or Advantage, where there's a lot of that. And that's the next thing you can do, is you can sign up for a Medicare Advantage program. What that'll give you is a maximum out of pocket. Remember how I said original Medicare doesn't have that maximum out of pocket? Part C also covers drugs typically. If you need drugs, you can get a Medicare Advantage plan that has drugs included. Also, on the Medicare Advantage program, you might get routine dental, vision, and hearing. But you will have to deal with whatever insurance company bureaucracy or protocols to get care. And also, unlike the original Medicare program where you can see any physician that accepts Medicare, if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, any service that they do not authorize or they do not approve is 100% your responsibility. So it becomes very, very costly if you were to get a service that was either not approved or authorized, but you definitely yourself felt you need. Now, both of these options do offer a smoother outlook on the Medicare program, but the way you get your care is going to really depend on which route you take. You can see here on this chart, this is what the common costs of Medicare Plan F, Plan N, and just having the original Medicare program based off of an average user on the Medicare program. Now for Part C, we don't really have this chart, but for Part C, a lot of the costs are going to be tied to whether or not your plan has a premium, whether or not you use all those extra benefits, and what value you pull out of those extra benefits. Some Advantage plans have great benefits, great social work, agents like myself, social workers attached to the company to help you get better. Now, I was planning on filming this outside. If you're still here, thank you for watching. The video is practically done, but I wanted to go over just one more tip you can use while you're saving for the Medicare program, and that's called an HSA. This is kind of future proofing. If you're watching this for your parents or your grandparents, an HSA is a health savings account, which has triple tax treatment. Triple special tax treatment, I should say. Of course it has tax treatment, but triple special tax treatment. You can deduct it when you put money in it. It grows tax-free or tax-deferred, and when you use it for medical expenses, it is tax-free. So unlike your traditional Roth IRA, which enjoys the last two features of tax-free growth and tax-free distributions, this HSA also enjoys tax deduction on the front end. So it can be very, very beneficial, and you can use it to pay for Medicare premiums and all the medical costs you are going to have when you retire, when you're on Medicare. And for a couple, as of 2020, that number is about $295,000 that an estimated couple 65 on Medicare will spend throughout the rest of their life. So if you have an HSA account that is about $295,000 when you retire, your medical expenditures are pretty much paid for tax-free growth from that account, which will definitely make retirement planning a lot better, as medical costs are probably one and two of the most expensive things that beneficiaries or retirees have when they retire. I hope this video helped out. For more videos like this on Medicare, investing, retirement planning, be sure to subscribe and like the video if you did. It really helps me out. Check out some links below for more resources, and I'll see you guys in the next video.